Hey guys, there's been a little bit of a break in the action on the Workbench because I got a few things going on I wanted to let you know about. One, still in the process of reorganizing things down here. The new shelving unit helped out tremendously. Of course, I got a few more items at the recent swap meet. I just picked up another TV today. I'll talk about at a later point. Also, I had a bunch of sets dropped off a few weeks ago for restoration. Some of them are pretty darn dirty. Now, that's what I'm going to talk about for the bulk of this video, is doing some cleaning. It may seem crazy to clean before working on the electronics, but these are going to be here for the next 10 months or so. I need to put them somewhere. And rather than clog up the basement, I want to put them in more public areas of the house. Some of these are pretty darn filthy, dirty, sticky. I want to clean them before I put them out anywhere where somebody might see them. Also, I'll check the picture tubes while I'm going. So that's this GE portable, a Zenith portable, Sentinel, and I think one or two others. And we'll check the picture tubes while we go. But another interesting development, for me anyways, is that I might be selling some of these. Very likely I'm selling some of these. I want to get them out on display, so I got to place some musical chairs. Also, whatever they don't sell, I'm going to let you guys know about. Sets I'm hoping to sell, like an Admiral tabletop I restored just before we moved. I had it listed on eBay, I didn't get any bites, and it's just been packed away since. I think I have a few other sets too I'd like to sell. One in particular they're interested in is the Zenith Color Roundy. I know it's going to disappoint some of you who've said, hey, when are you going to work on it? When are you going to work on it? Well, the thing is, it works. It works fine, as is. That's why I've never done any follow-up videos on it. I replaced some tubes, and it just works. So they're interested in that, and a few other sets. So I want to get them out on display. Another thing going on is I'm trying to get that big RCA projection set inside. I have a lot of it inside. I have all the chassis, the optics, the CRT, the front louver. It's just the main big empty cabinet out there. I got to do some swappage. I have more parts than I do predictors, so I'm trying to do some mixing and matching. When I'm done with all that, whatever's left is getting out of here. I have way too much stuff down here. It doesn't need to be down here. Like I have a box of antennas just up here for no good reason. Oh yeah, the other thing is I have about 4 or 5 sets for customers that are long overdue, that are about 95% done. They need to get done ASAP and get out of here. So right now I'm also focusing on getting this debutante done, just putting the finishing touches on it. Got another predictor back there, Stromberg Carlson, and a couple others. Until all that stuff's done, I'm not really going to get back into doing anything major on the Workbench. The first thing I do expect to get back to will be finishing off the Dumont, which is down there. If you recall, when I left off, I was missing a whole bunch of bits and pieces and found bad stuff, bad parts. I stopped working on it because I had to track them down, but I think I now have them all. We've got a new relay, we've got a new focus control, we've got new tube sockets, etc., etc. Really looking forward to get back into that. So that should be the next thing that I actually break out the soldering iron on. To start out with, I'm cleaning up this 2-tone General Electric portable. I think it's 17-inch. Yeah, 17 or 14-inch. It's painted metal, so I'm using automotive products on it. But before I did that, it was so dirty, I hit it with some simple green and a rag to clean the dirt off the top. Some denatured alcohol to clean off some Scotch tape residue. And now I'm getting ready to use some scratch out to go over this. Once you get that looking pretty darn good, use some Simichrome metal polish on the chrome. Knobs I'll pop off and soak in warm dishwashing liquid like Palmolive. This is plastic. I'll clean it with some Windex and Novus number 2 to polish it up, try to get the scuff out. Have a little bit of corrosion, not much we can do about that, especially around this logo. When we take it out, I'll see if I can pop this off. It looks like it's plastic. There's probably a hole drilled through here and a clip on the back. Then get that off, we can do a little bit of cleaning around there. You can see it's starting to, rust spots bleeding through the paint. We'll see what the scratch out does. That should make this look considerably better. And then we'll pop the back off too and check the picture tube. Looks like we've got a, no, I thought it was metal. It's a masonite back here. And this came from the New York area, which makes sense. It's a model 17T026. It's very likely a 17-inch CRT. I don't know what type. It's cleaning up very nicely on top. I'm going to take a little break from that and take a peek inside. It looks like there's just one screw holding this whole back on, because we're missing the screw there and there. All I see is this. I haven't worked on a whole lot of GEs. I don't think I've ever worked on a GE portable, so I'm kind of curious as to what we're going to find inside. Not known for having the greatest build quality. That much I do know. Early GEs, yeah. 40s GEs, yeah. 50s, 60s GEs, and not so much. I'm guesstimating this is 57-ish. That's kind of when the metal portable scene exploded. What's going on with this back? No fasters. I'm wondering, is it just the AC interlock that's holding it on? There's a cord jammed in here. Okay, that's where the antenna goes. Interlock, yeah, I got that. Oh yeah, okay, it is the interlock. Interesting. So it was actually designed with this little, I've never seen that before. This cheapo little cardboard pouch for the cord to stuff into. Okay. Ooh, interesting. Yeah, okay. This will be fun. Yeah, let's get a little bit lower here. One, I was wondering what these goofy things are. They're just plastic potentiometer extenders. We have two main boards, it looks like, and the pots are mounted directly on the boards, and these are long shafts. You get into these 50s portables, it's all about saving money. So yeah, circuit boards, minimum of paper caps and electrolytics. I'm seeing a lot of ceramic disc caps. I see a couple of vertically mounted paper caps. Well, what really jumped out at me right away was this guy, which is a cap that's, I presume, in parallel with something. They tack soldered the negative to the chassis and it's just about to fall off. And the positive is going down somewhere. It's probably just in parallel with one of the main electrolytics. You can see there's two of them down here. Probably a series strung set. Well, I know it's a series strung set. There's a power transformer and then probably a voltage doubler. This might be new enough to have germanium or silicon power diodes. Otherwise, there should be some selenium somewhere. Maybe inside here. Or no, that's probably the flyback. And there's a picture tube. So, yeah, so you can kind of date this. 57 is right when they came out with these electrostatic focus, magnetically deflected, sometimes aluminized, generally not picture tubes. This is not aluminized, or at least it has an ion trap magnet, kind of goofy looking, but it's on there. And then there's a strap on here for focus. You either put it this way or this way to get the best focus. But a year later, they came out with 110 degree deflection CRT, so this will be a 90 degree deflection. That's why this cabinet's so deep. In 58, they came out with the first gen 110 degree CRTs, and in 59, they got with the second degree, which were the short ones used in the Predictas. So they only made these deep metal portables 56, 57, and they were no more. They were very popular. They made a gazillion of them. And they made a lot of these two-tones, Admiral, GE, Airline, and others. Alright, so it's still the standard big old base here and big fat neck. So let's get a CRT tester on there. It'll be 6.3 volt CRT, probably. 98% of the time it is, but there are a few oddballs. There's an 8.4 volt series strung CRT. Let's see, is there a tube chart anywhere in here? I don't think so. Back of the cover. Oh yeah, here we go. Oh, 17AVP4. I think I have a spare one of those. Might be aluminized. Oh, sorry, 17AVP4A. The reason I mention that is most of these portable sets are not. Which means you don't get a super bright, nice, sharp picture. But maybe this is. Maybe this is. At any rate, let's see if it's any good or not. CRT testing has commenced. Filament is lighting up. Neon bulbs are lighting up. Pretty quickly, too. You've seen this many times before. Take a while to wake up. We do have cutoff control. Not amazing, but good enough we can move the needle. Boost it a little bit to 7 volts. If you haven't surmised already, I don't particularly enjoy working on portable sets, but I don't know any restorer who does, because they're packed in there, and it's very hard to get at anything. Almost impossible to troubleshoot, because usually the pitch tubes are mounted to the cabinet, and then the chassis or circuit boards are wrapped around the CRT, and then it's all kind of wired together. So sometimes even just figuring out how to take them apart is quite the challenge. But often they did get used a lot because they were easy to lug around. You'd give it to the kids when the family gets the new big TV, and they tended to get used to death. So somebody asked me recently, how high a voltage can you go safely? Well, if you use a brightener, they seem to boost it to, well, so normally it's 6.3 volts. A brightener will add 1.5, maybe 2 volts. So you can run a 6.3 at 8.4 for a little while. When you put it on a tester and to rejuvenate, it also increases the filament voltage. I would not leave it on 8.4 or higher for an extended period of time. I'll do it for a minute or two, but I'm not going to leave it on there for hours by any means. But yeah, picture tube filaments are pretty robust. They're beefier than your standard little miniature tube. All right, that's not the greatest sign, I will admit. That's not so good. This would produce an image. It's not going to be a great image. I can certainly try auto restore. On my Sencore CR70, I use the B&K 440 because it's really quick and easy to use, and it's accurate enough to tell if it's good or bad. But if I'm going to do any kind of rejuvenation, or short removal or anything, I'm going to use a different tester. So yeah, this would produce an image. It's not fantastic. So I want to let the owner know and give him options. I think I have a spare used one, but I'm not positive. What do you think, Shadow? What do you think? Want to say hi? Now I'm seeing a lot of potential in this set. It's cleaning up quite nicely, aside from a little bit of rust pitting. It's complete. It's all original. That pitch tube isn't particularly rare, so I'm going to suggest with the owner that we continue full force. Well, I have got the knob soaking and clean up this side. It's the dirtiest part of this set. I'm going to be a little careful. Oh, these are recessed. Great. Thought these might be decals. I didn't want to rub them off, but that's recessed and then filled in with paint. No problem. Should look great after I'm done. Well, I am happy and surprised to say that these knobs cleaned up beautifully. It really they exceeded my expectations and hopes. They are darn near flawless. So just a little palm olive Dawn, 20 minutes or so, lukewarm water mixed in, and then just a soft toothbrush, and everything just came right out. It's surprising because you gotta figure that if the set saw use, and it seems to have seen a lot of use given that the picture tube's kind of worn out, you'd think the controls would be more worn out. But even the channel knob, it's just a little discolored around here. Again, maybe UV. I mean, it's whiter on one side than the other. And let's see, how's it going on there? Like so. So yeah. There we go. Ooh, it's kind of stuck. I don't want to force it. On off, brightness, vertical contrast. I finished cleaning it for now. I'll go over it once again when I actually restore the electronics, pull the chassis out. I did go around the screen a bit more aggressively and polished up the plastic. Need to do a little wet sanding, I think, to get that scuff out. But, it cleaned up pretty good. This corner being the worst part, and the corners up top, but overall I think it's in outstanding condition. Alright, next up, let's get the Zenith, and it's new enough, I think we'll try powering it up. And now for the Zenith, which is solid state, much newer than the set we just looked at. Probably 20 plus years newer. I'm thinking this is mid 70s, late 70s. I'm a little out of my element here. All I can tell you is it's a Zenith, it's solid state. Pretty sure it's 19 inch, which is a super common, maybe the most commonly available vintage black and white picture tube at this point in time. It's dirty, especially down in the recesses and around back. I don't know if it's supposed to be two-tone, but it looks two-tone now. Back is pretty darn dirty. The antenna broke off. I think there used to be a label here identifying it. So, clean it up so it's a little less nasty to handle. I'm just going to plug it into my PR57, which will offer protection in case something's bad. It's probably new enough. Maybe it has. Yep, I think that's a circuit breaker down in there. We'll see what she does. And we'll pop it open and see if we can figure out exactly what it is. Well, this is unexpected. The reason we have two different colors here is that this is painted. Where it's worn off, chipped off, I can see the underlying plastic is the same color as this. So was this painted originally, or did somebody paint this in more recent times to cover something up? I don't know, but it means I need to treat these a little bit differently. But the back, where it's just plastic, I can be fairly aggressive with Novus plastic polishes. Here, where I'm having more difficulty cleaning it, I'll use more of the automotive products rather than plastic polish. And it's as much cleaning as I care to do right now. That pebbly surface on the back is a real drag. I think I'm better off just removing the back, and I can use a scrub brush and a utility sink. Also, the power cord is frayed in one area and will need to get replaced. I just removed the screws, and I noticed they are rather corroded, which has me a little wary that I could have some condition issues inside. So I'm gonna poke around inside before I just go ahead and plug this in. Who knows what we're gonna find? I think that's it. I just Took 4 screws out. Let's see. Unless there's something underneath. Yep. There would be 3 screws down here, but only 2 are present. They're much beefier than the others. Oh, there's the last screw, but it's tough. Hear that corrosion grinding away. So I'm still not sure what to expect. Does the chassis pull away with the cabinet, the picture tube sticks to the front, or what? This back feels pretty darn heavy. It's also still. Okay. Okay, that answers that. No, it does not. It just completely pulls away. Fantastic. Yummy. Yeah. Okay. Alright, now, at least we know the chassis is a 19 EB12,13. Don't see a year. 19 VDHP4 CRT. Alright. It's a new one on me. There are quite a few different 19-inch CRTs out there. Alright, and it does have Zenith's famous point-to-point wiring, and it has a transformer. I just assumed it was a hatch chassis set. Well, I guess, yeah, if you're going to have transistors, you need to have some low voltage supply, so thinking power transformer, filter choke, some little modules here. Oh, actually, no, it's one of my sync point-to-point wiring. The chassis may have point-to-point wiring, but we have circuit boards, and I think these pull out. It's funny, remember I was gifted a bunch of Zenith modules recently? Glad I still have them, because you never know. They might work in this set. Some of them might anyways, or maybe some of those controls would come in handy. Flyback's just sitting out there. Yeah, it's filthy, it is corroded. We have rust all along the bottom. Should put something under this before I pull it out. Ooh, that's kind of pretty though. Yeah, that's point-to-point wiring. I know the Zenith's famous thing is that they kept using point-to-point wiring long after others did, but I can see in this case they're stretching that a little bit because we have circuit boards and point-to-point wiring. Now I want to make it clear, I have never worked on a solid-state black and white TV like this. My knowledge is mostly with 40s and 50s black and white tube televisions and much newer solid-state devices from the 90s, 2000s. So this in-between period. I don't know. What immediately strikes me, that having seen sets like this before, is how much stuff there is. Tube black and white TV from the 60s might have 10 tubes in it, and that's it. And not a whole lot of discrete parts. This has a lot of stuff in it for just a basic black and white TV. Now, this is all stuff to do with the high voltage stuff. You have all these ceramic caps. Like that thing. What is that? I'm thinking some of this might be for pincushion correction. Is that an efficiency coil for the flyback? I don't know. This thing doesn't draw a whole lot of power. It's 90 watts or something like that. That's got to be for tuning the horizontal oscillator. These will all be plastic film caps, so I probably don't need to replace them. And the ceramic should be fine. Might have some out-of-spec resistors. Those electrolytics can go. I see a couple. That guy, that guy, that guy. Some ferrite beads. And of course there's the stuff topside. And it'll be the main filter electrolytics. There's the circuit breaker. So not seeing anything too scary. Let's get this up on the workbench and give it a try. Oh, it's got some cracks. Yeah, this plastic, down there too. It's old. This is probably styrene. It's not the most durable, rugged plastic, so you got to be careful when you're working on this old stuff. Oh, I see. Yeah, there we go. So it's cute that they have this little shelf feature on the front, but that also introduced a weak spot. So it's cracked on both sides. Now, styrene plastic like Weld 4, Weld On 4 is fantastic. You can wick it in there, and then I can pry this, push this back and clamp it, and it actually melts the plastic, fuses it back together. There'll be a visible seam here, but it should make it quite strong enough. If I really care to, I could reinforce it a bit. Maybe put a strip of metal along here and epoxy it in place, something like that. So it's hardly all that bad. I mean, it's all here. It's just some stress cracks. I just wanted to point that out, that all this stuff is quite brittle. Alright, now we don't have any tubes to watch for glowing, except for the CRT. Let's clean that off a little. So mostly I'll be monitoring my Variac and see what the current draw is. Alrighty. Let's see. Oh, I got the set turned off. Alright, it is on. Turning the set on. Ooh. Something is not making good contact. Alright, well, here's what that circuit breaker is, and I think that's a diode, and it's looking pretty darn crusty, or green corrosion on the leads. Oh yeah, so the construction technique Zenith used, so the point-to-point wiring, sort of. I've seen this on sets. I started using this in the 50s. Rather than having terminal posts that they wrap the leads around and solder, there are cups, and they shove the component leads into it and then feed solder in while heating it up. So that's why these component leads, you just see them going, like, kind of going into a hole. You can't pull these out. Those aren't like sockets. Those are solder cups. Oh wow, these are super crustified too. There's a number of things that could be the issue. That's probably a full bridge rectifier, or was. And I think that is also, it's just a black thing with no line. Or it could be a roasted resistor. Actually, maybe that's a better idea. I'm thinking we're not going to see this thing swing into life. But at least let's see what's popping and crackling. I gotta get the service info and go through this more methodically. Those diodes, those need to go. So this is definitely in a very damp environment. We have all this corrosion around the edge. I don't think it was submerged, but probably in a dank basement or something like that. We definitely want to start with the power supply and rebuild this stuff. Replace the rectifiers, replace the filter caps, and go from there. But at least otherwise it looks pretty darn clean down here. Alright, turning power back on. Turning the set back on. So where? No, we don't see anything. So the current, the needle on my ammeter is going like this whenever you hear that popping. Now it's just settled down to do nothing. Turn it off and back on again. When I was looking at the top side, it sounded like it was coming from down here. Now that I'm down here, it sounds like it might be on the top side somewhere. Or we just come dead. I gave the back a bath in the utility sink, used a scrub brush on it, and it is much cleaner now. I'm also testing the pitcher tube, which is a 19 VDHP4, and it's good. I'm amazed because the owner just informed me that this is an instant onset, meaning that even when the set is turned on, a smaller voltage than normal is continuously on the CRT filament to have it partially warmed up, so when you turn the set on fully, it comes awake faster, meaning that as long as you've got this set plugged into a live outlet, the filament is glowing to some extent. I don't know if it's half power or whatever, but I would have thought that it would have shortened the life of it. Now, the owner of this set is the original owner. He got it new in '73. So, we now have a date on it. And Shango's actually been helping me out. He gave me the service info. There's one integrated circuit on this somewheres for the IF, I believe. And he said that it has a high failure rate. And yeah, those diodes look really iffy. But now that I have the service info, we can definitely start poking around. But not right now. Not right now. Right now, we are going to check out another set. Now for the final set in this triage video. This is a Sentinel. I think it's a TV-400, something like that. We'll see if there's a label on the back. This was sold under a number of different brands. I think I have a Silvertone and an Airline version, maybe a Teletone version. Some cabinets look somewhat different. This particular one, it's the Sentinel, who I believe did make it for everyone else, is based out of Evanston, Illinois. It's a presumed plywood cabinet covered with a Tolex kind of material. It's a 7-inch electrostatic set. What's unusual about it is that it's vertical. The vast majority, like the Motorola's and the Admirals, were horizontal with a picture either on CRT, either on the left or the right hand side, with the knobs sort of under the speaker to one side. In other words, this sort of rotated 90 degrees. It's not just vertical, it's trapezoidal a bit. It's rather unusual. This version has a carrying handle on top. The leather has really badly deteriorated, so I'm trying not to hold it by this as much as possible because this is surprisingly heavy. Reason being, I do believe, is that it has a power transformer. Unlike most electrostatic sets that are series strong, this is pretty beefy inside. I've never worked on one, but I've seen photos, and like I said, I do own a number of versions. I don't have this particular version, though, so this will be new to me. Not just that I haven't worked on it, but I haven't seen this exact one. But there she is. That's a rather silly get up. So the power cord goes through a hole here. It's too big for either end of the power cord to get through. So how did they get it in there? They must have done it before they put this control panel on. But everything is stapled and riveted, so oh fun. That should get replaced. Anyways, that's the power cord. So we have two chassis here. Bottom one, there's our power transformer and an upper chassis. So looking down here, these are a whole bunch of miniature tubes. So this must be the IF and detector and whatnot. And I can see the tuner up front. Then this will be the high voltage supply and deflection circuitry. As is typical, we have three controls up top with plastic shafts. These will be the ones going to thousands of volts for horizontal and vertical centering and focus. And then we have horizontal hold, horizontal size, vertical hold, vertical size. Very standard. And there's a little plug here that connects the two chassis. See one wire going down here. That'll be the video signal, which is also a plug. And everything else goes to this guy. Inside this must be the RF high voltage supply. We also have our electrolytic caps up here, rather crusty looking, so the power supply rectifier must be up here as well. Weird to have power transformer on one side but rectifier tube and caps on a different chassis, but that's how they did it. Must be quite a few wires. Well, yeah, I can see there's quite a few wires going between these two. Alright, so what am I going to do in this video? I'm not going to pull the chassis out. That's too much work, and this thing, as I can see, is pretty filthy. What I will do is test this as best I can. The only true test, as you may have heard many times, is to hook up the CRT, which is a 7JP4. It's what all the early electrostatic sets used for the most part, is to hook it up to a working set. I will hook it up to my Syncor CR70, which, wow, that's on there tight. It's not listed in my tube setup chart, but I got a photocopy of another version that does. What I think has happened is you can't test these properly, fully, in any CRT tester. I think Sentinel removed it in later editions of the setup chart, because I realized that. The reason being, from the various theories floated online in discussions, is that these don't have ion traps. The ions get deflected along with the electron beam and gradually degrade the phosphor. Virtually every 7JP4 I've ever tested had fantastic emissions. The brightness of the screen varies. But at least it'll tell you if it's dead or not. And if it's a good one, if it's a strong one, you should see a splotch of brightness on the CRT. Now be very careful when you pull these off. There are 14 pins on this thing, so that's why there can be a lot of pressure to get this off. I have ripped pins right out of the CRT base. It's a common problem, or ripped base right off the CRT. It's loose on this side, it's stuck on this side. Could be corrosion between the socket and the pins. It has to come off at some point, so okay, it's coming. Just wiggling a millimeter at a time, back and forth and back and forth, while keeping my thumb pressed on that keyway so it doesn't pop off the CRT. Okay, now it's really coming off. I hope I didn't just rip a pin off. Success. There are two unused pins. That's why those are missing. Often these are loose as well. Okay, good. Everything is nice and tight. The base is actually on there pretty good too. This is, what is this? I think it's an RCA. There's a lot of tape wrapped around this. Might be aluminum tape for shielding. Alright, so I got out my tester and we will rig it up and see what we get. Okay, do we have a smudge? Yes, we have a smudge. Not a huge smudge, but yes, that is a good sign. That is a good sign. And if I vary the cutoff, I think, yes, it varies in brightness. Woohoo. So, I cannot guarantee how good of an image this will produce, but I can say it will produce an image. We won't know for sure till we get the set working. Alright, that is enough triage action for tonight. I took a look through my stash. I believe I do have a spare 17 AVP4 that would work in the GE Portable. Thanks to Shango, I've got some service info for the Zenith solid state set, and I do have the SAMs and Ryder service info for this set. So ahead on these 3 projects, I do have a few more of his other sets to triage. Then it's simply going to be a matter of deciding what order to do them in. I have about 10 months to get them all done, so let's get going.